Got 9 things for you here. We're going to talk about confusion, delusion. Now, what we're talking about is, you know how a dog barks, they just do it. They don't think about it. Something gets close to their real estate, to their property, to their zone, whatever you want to call that, they start barking at it. Could be a raccoon, could be you, could be anything. Well, it seems that second nature is a part of the psychopath and narcissist thinking, that they just automatically live in this mode where they're constantly barking. Confusion, delusion. Well, they use confusion because they're controllers. And if they can confuse things, they can control those things. And if they can cause delusion by confusion, that is, well, delusion is just another way of saying lying or inverting reality, where they always seem to come out to be the good guy. All right, so there are 9 things, 9 ways that they do this that I know of. Now, if you know of some things that I didn't list here, you go ahead and add those in the comment section if you feel it's worth sharing with other people, because, you know, I'm not the only one who knows about this stuff, and sometimes people have insights that I totally miss. And when people watch these videos, yeah, it's good to have a second opinion, good to have people who add to it, kind of augment what we're talking about. Number 1 is what I call subtraction confusion. More commonly, we would refer this to lying by omission. So the narcissist will try to confuse people by telling a story, but they leave something out of it. Which, if you do that, it totally changes the dynamics of the story. Okay, it deceives people. It's a delusion. So, for example, when I was a little kid, my mom would say, "Don't cross the street until you look both ways." Well, I could leave out the look both ways, and I could say, "Mom told me not to cross the street." Not the same thing, is it? Number 2 is what I would call addition confusion, and this is, well, it's just lying by adding things to the story, embellishing the story, exaggerating the story. And sometimes they can do that just simply by adding to the truth, or sometimes we can make a story, embellish a story. Narcissists can embellish a story by making it sound better than it really was. And you know what? They don't even have to lie. They don't have to add anything. It's just by their facial expressions. It could be by their body language. Everyone does that. But narcissists seem to be like the dog barking. They're in this mode 24/7. They just never stop. They're always in the deception mode. Number 3 is what I call devaluation confusion. So what the narcissist wants to do is he wants to confuse other people about you. And he also wants to confuse you about you, so they will devalue you, that you're not capable, you're not as able to do things as well as I am, the narcissist would say. So he or she is devaluing you to make you seem or feel less in your eyes and in the eyes of others. Talk about that a little bit more in just a second. Number 4 is deficit confusion. So this is kind of similar to devaluation confusion, but this time the narcissist wants to make you feel that you have these deficits, and all of us do. We all have limits. You know, there are things that other people can do that I can't do. I remember when I was in college and I traveled, I was a singer, and I would travel with an evangelist, and we would go to different churches, and he would preach and I would sing. Actually, I would sing and he would preach, get it backwards. And, you know, there were some things that I could do. I could preach, I could sing, I like to write. And one time the preacher got up at a particular church we were in, and he looked at me and he wanted to pay me a compliment. And he said, "Ken, is there anything you can't do?" And I said, "Yeah, I can't swim." So, you know, we all have our limitations, and well, now I can't even sing, so you can, you know, chalk that one off the list. But what the narcissist will do is he'll take those deficits, the things that we can't do, or that we're not particularly good at, and he will exaggerate those to make it look like we're just absolutely, positively total losers compared to him or compared to her. And then he will take that perception and he will put it in front of others, not only convincing us and convincing others. So that is deficit confusion. Then there is detail confusion. And by that we simply mean there are certain things about us that are non-essentials, the things that don't even matter, but the narcissist will make us understand that we have these deficits. It's not just something specific like we can't swim, but just kind of in general. You're a loser. Compared to me, the narcissist, you're just a nobody. Now, they may not say that outright. In fact, I can't ever remember a narcissist just saying, you're a nobody. But they give that impression, and they get the thought across. They're really good at it. It's kind of like the dog that may not bark, but he's not happy. So number 6 is blame-shifting confusion. And this we talk about a lot in various ways, but simply what we mean by that is the narcissist will take the high ground, the moral high ground, and he is the hero, and you're the bad guy. Now, in reality, it's probably just totally reversed, but this is the position he takes. He just flips the scenario. And so he is also the victim, and you are the victimizer. You are the abuser. That is blame-shifting confusion. You are to blame. When something goes wrong, you didn't do it. Something goes right, he always did it. Or she always did it. But this is blame-shifting. Number 7 is gaslighting confusion. All right, we said we're going to talk about something a little bit more in detail. This is it. Gaslighting is when you are convinced that you caused something to go wrong, and you're convinced there's something wrong with you. Mentally, that you have a mental problem. Maybe you're losing your mind, you're losing your memory, or you're delusional, and you're not, but the narcissist will set up scenarios that will convince you that you are. For example, you could set a cup on a table, and when you're not looking, the narcissist will move it, or somebody will move it, and then, where'd my cup go? And the narcissist or whomever would say, well, you put it on the counter, don't you remember? And you look, and sure enough, there it is on the counter. And the guy just kind of shakes his head and says, I think you're losing it. Well, no, you're not losing it. He did it. But he's trying to trick you into thinking that you're a little bit off. And people do this. I mean, particularly with older people, vulnerable, to convince them that they're losing their mind so that the narcissist or whomever, the scandaler, the fraudster, could take advantage of them financially, get a hold of their resources because, they're just not competent anymore. That's gaslighting, but a narcissist may not use it to that extreme because, I did not move my cup to the counter from the table. You didn't do that. But what the narcissist will do is he'll do what I call gaslighting light, if that makes sense, and that is he will convince you that you are somehow to blame for whatever. It's blame shifting where you participate unwittingly, unknowingly, that you are actually convinced, the blame obviously is my fault. That's gaslighting light. Number 8 is projection confusion, and that's where you probably are familiar with projection. Most people are. But projection is when the narcissist will take his faults and he will find it in other people. Sometimes he finds it in other things. The guy may be an incompetent bum, and whose fault is that? It's the government's. Well, maybe it is the government. But some people, actually a lot of times it's government, but people will sometimes take their failures. And I think all of us do this to some degree. We'll take our failures and we project it on something or somebody else or some abstract. If people just weren't so mean. I was reading an article the other day, and it was saying how people don't want to work anymore. It's not like the good old days when they would work, and the article was just recently published. But then there was another reference to another article in a newspaper that was published like 10 years ago. And the article said, problem today is nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to do a full day's work. And there was a whole list of these where it went all the way back to, I think it was 1919, where there was, 100 years ago, more than 100 years ago, where there was an article in a newspaper that said, nobody wants to work anymore. Well, that's projection. If things aren't going well, the reason is everyone's lazy. Sometimes, we're the ones who are lazy. We're just kind of projecting that. Well, the narcissist does that 24/7. That's part of his bark. And, his bite is, that's during the smear campaign, but we're not talking about that today. Number 9 is what I call triangulation confusion, and this is where the narcissist gets that third party involved. Okay, we are going to talk about the smear campaign. So the third party is now convinced that you are the bad guy. Who is this third party? Well, the third party could be just about anyone, as long as it's useful to advancing the narcissist agenda, his story, stroking, inflating his ego, giving him that supply. And the third party affirms the narcissist. His story is, his narrative is that you're the bad guy, or you're the crook, or you're whatever, you're the fraudster, and he is your victim. And now here he is to be the hero, to put you in your place, take you down a peg or two. And the third party has been brought in to validate the narcissist's lies. That is triangulation confusion, or you could just call it third-party confusion. But when the triangulation involves lots of people, that's the smear campaign. 2 rectangles on the screen. Let's keep talking if you want. Just click on one of those 2 rectangles and the conversation will continue. And if not, well, thanks for stopping by. And we will see you all next time.